What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we're in a completely new place. My living room where I normally shoot is behind us. It's already dark. Like, it's been dark since about 2:45 or so. I know I'm already super late on this recap, and I also know that I'm not gonna have any other time to film it. So here we are in a little corner of my bedroom. Now, you guys, let's jump into part 2 of the Teen Mom 2 reunion for season 8, shall we? We start off with Briana on the couch looking absolutely beautiful in all red, and she tells Dr. Drew that she feels like there's some sort of a high school vibe going on with all of the other girls, and she feels like it's because Kail feels some type of way about her relationship with Kail's ex-husband Javi. And she says that because of the way Kail feels, Kail is sort of alienated the other girls against her, and I can kind of see where that's happening. I don't know if that's Kail telling the other girls not to speak with her, or if it's the girls on their own accord being loyal to Kail, you know, in this sort of situation. I know that I would be loyal to my friend in this kind of a situation personally. She also lets us know that a little something happened backstage, and I hope we get to see it in one of those unseen kind of reunion moments, because I've also heard that her mom got into a fight with Leah, and we didn't see that in part 2 either. If you're wondering where Lewis went after he snuck off in the middle of the night that one episode, it turns out that he's been doing the whole trucking thing. You know, thankfully he followed through with that, but unfortunately he's only apparently seen his daughter Stella about twice in her 4 months of life, and I don't know that there's any sort of trucking school or job that does not allow you to come home for 4 months at a time. If there is, correct me in the comment section down below, but that's pretty disappointing to hear, in my opinion. Dr. Drew asks how he's supporting them financially, and Bri lets him know that yes, he's actually been paying for Stella's daycare, and something like that. Sometimes, like, being a Canadian, these sorts of things like remind you how different people have it in different places of the world, because to me the idea of a 4-month-old being in daycare is kind of crazy, right? Because here we have maternity leave for, I believe it's 1 year. So I'm just like, what, 4 months old already in daycare? Like, she's already back to work? Yikes, that must absolutely suck. Anyway, moving along, Devoin and his little chest hairs come out, and he says that the reason he doesn't spend a lot of time with Nova is because things are always Briana's way or the highway. He also claims that another big reason that he doesn't get to see Nova too much is because he doesn't have his driver's license. Remember, it got taken away. I think he had a DUI or some kind of weapons thing. Like, something got his license taken away and he no longer is able to drive. But I'm kind of like, are there no Ubers there? Are there no buses there? Can you not, you know, carpool with someone off of Craigslist and pray they're not the Craigslist killer? Do you not have relatives who can give you a ride? Like, you should be doing everything you can in order to see your child, and not having a license, in my opinion, is just not an excuse. He also complains that Briana never allows him to take Nova anywhere, and that all of their interactions must take place in Roxanne's damn living room. And I was like, thank God he brought it up, because I really want to know Dr. Drew's opinion on this, because I don't think it's normal for Briana to regulate their, you know, visitation in that manner. And so he says that he wants to bring Nova around his family. Briana's like, no, she can't go. She's just so shy. But it's kind of like Nova knows her dad, and so I'm pretty sure so long as she's with him, she will be okay. You know what I mean? And Briana brings Nova all sorts of different places. I mean, she's already brought Nova to Javi's son Lincoln's, you know, birthday party just like the other day. So I don't understand why Nova can get on a plane and fly all the way, you know, to the other end of America and, like, go to this random child's birthday party that she doesn't even really know, but she can't go, you know, up the street and be with her dad and his family. And as irritated as I am with the way Briana handles that sort of thing regarding Nova, I really am doubly irritated with the fact that Devoin hasn't bothered to lawyer up, because this is something that I'm pretty sure he can win in the court of law. I mean, you know, there are a few murky waters with his little criminal history and all, but at the same time, I do think that he can get some sort of, like, you know, thing in writing that says that he's allowed to take her out of this damn apartment, you guys. We head over to a little commercial break, and when we return, we are joined by iconic WW restaurants fighting superstar Roxanne, who actually comes out and gives Lewis credit for getting his shit together. She's like, Lewis has a job, he's been going to school, he's paying for Stella's daycare and everything, and she's kind of like lifting up Lewis to shit on Devoin. Like, it can never just be like a good thing, you know, here and there with her. There's always a little something involved. And to my surprise, surprise, Briana's sister, Brittany, actually stepped up to defend Devoin in all of this. She's like, listen, by the way, like, it's great and all that Lewis has decided to get his life together, but he's 35. His life should have been together a long time ago. And, you know, in contrast, Devoin is only like 23 years old. It's going to take him more time. Things quickly circle back to the fight that happened at the restaurant when Roxanne was ready to body slam, Devoin. And so they're all like, listen, Devoin, I know you're upset that we insulted your fatherhood, but listen, you're not that great of a father. Just FYI, you've pretty much been to none of Nova's birthdays. So Devon's like, well, I was in jail for like half of them. And then the other ones, you didn't invite me to. And it was kind of like, damn, talk about awkward, right? Dr. Drew then again pushes the issue of Briana not allowing Nova to leave the apartment. He's like, listen, it sounds more like you are not allowing Nova to go over to Devon's family's house out of bitterness instead of what's best for Nova. And Briana vehemently denies this claim. And you know what? Just a little bit of an FYI here. Isn't it really, really funny to you guys how Briana is so against Nova being with Devon's family, but the first half of her storyline was a whole, oh, Nova, like, she's only ever with like her Hispanic side of her family. She knows she's different from us because she's like visibly black, and so she needs to see her black side of her family. And now all of a sudden Devoin and his family wants Nova to come over, and she's like, well, Nova's shy. This just cannot happen. This cannot be. To kind of wrap things up, Dr. Drew asked Roxanne how she felt when her little thought pocket went and got herself knocked up again, this time in just 30 days. And so Roxanne was like, I went crazy. Like, at first I was kind of like upset about, you know, her getting pregnant with Nova the first time around, but I was younger and I didn't know that I had an autoimmune disease like lupus. And now that I'm older and that I have lupus, I am doubly pissed off. And so Briana's sister Brittany's like, well, it's not your responsibility. Like, it's for Briana to raise, right? And so they end there. And next up, we are joined by Javi and Kail on the stage, where they talk about how their relationship outside of co-parenting their son Lincoln has all pretty much gone to shit. Kail complains that every time she and Javi get into a fight, he just out of nowhere brings up the fact that she went and got herself knocked up by some random guy who cannot be bothered to claim her. She's like, I could be like, hey, Javi, move your car. And he'd be like, well, you have a whole baby by some random man. And I found that hilarious because that is just so petty. And I'm that petty, okay, you guys? I am that petty, and I'm willing to admit to it. I don't know how many people are, I would admit to it, okay? One thing that really surprised me, especially considering the way Javi has spoken, you know, at least to me, about Kail in the past, is the fact that and it seemed like this was still going on at the reunion, like up until then, even though he was dating Briana at the reunion, it's just a mess. They sounded like they wanted to get back together. I was like, Javi, why would you want to get back together with someone like Kail? Like, children aside, she doesn't really have anything to offer you for the rest of your life. Like, she does not respect you. Like, you've already seen all the dirty things she is able to pull and walk away from without feeling any sort of remorse. I would be scared of a person like Kail. Like, the way she like destroys people and walks away from them is not normal to me, and I would not want to be back with a person like that as soon as I've escaped from their clutches, right? And so Dr. Drew is like, well, I could see it in your eyes, Javi. Are you attracted to Kail? Javi's like, no. Kail's like, don't lie, you're attracted to me, Javi. And so Javi's like, well, I married her at a certain point, blah, blah. And so Dr. Drew goes, well, Kail, are you attracted to Javi? She's like, no. What the heck happened there? It was just such an odd, really, exchange that went on. And just, again, the fact that Javi was kind of dating Bri and doing interviews with the press about the fact that they were dating around this time, and just watching him on stage still pining for Kail, even though Kail's got this whole baby, right, by another man. I just don't get it. I think that he has some sort of self-esteem issues that he needs to work through, because you shouldn't be still desiring a person like that. And just to add on that, Javi literally said that a big reason that they could not get back together, even though they were still talking about it, was the fact that Kail still refused to get rid of the other dudes in her life. It's like, what more do you need? Like, she's already put her hands on you. She's already brought like another man around your children, you know, while you were just coming home as a surprise. She's got a whole baby by some random guy that she had been creeping around with since you were married. I think they date back to 2014. And like, I don't know, like, what, she's filed a false PFA against you. What else do you need, Javi? Like, get away. Anyway, Dr. Drew decides to kind of chill things out a little bit here by bringing out Joe, who, by the way, looked way too grown for this mess. Like, with his suit and everything, he looked like he was supposed to be on another show, not like a mess like Teen Mom too. So while he's out there, he offers Javi his shoulder to cry on and notes that Kale certainly takes advantage of that. What do you call that? Privilege. Now, Joe actually on stage, when Dr. Drew asks him how he felt about like Kale having Lux, he actually said that the fact that Kale had Lux, and it's not the baby himself, this is just Kale's messed up decision-making skills. He said that Kale having Lux really bothered him, and as soon as he said it, Kale started crying, and I was just like, oh my god. So Joe's like, and it's not because like I really just don't like seeing her with other men, and it's not because I'm jealous or still into her or anything like that. It's just because all of this affects Isaac at the end of the day. And I was just like, Joe, you are so grown. You are too grown for this. And it's so sad that someone like him got wrapped up in a tornado of a mess like Kale. Like, just imagine having a child with someone who literally seems to have no regard for, you know, how their decisions affect your child. Like, that must be so heartbreaking to watch them go through again and again, and then have the nerve to fight you for wanting 50-50 custody. Like, ugh. And speaking of 50-50 custody, it seems like Joe never really fully pursued that, because Dr. Drew asked him if that was a thing that he had. Like, do you want more time with your child? Do you have that 50-50? He kind of skirted around the question, and I was quite disappointed in him for not pursuing that, because especially considering the next question Dr. Drew asked Kale was, how do you feel about, you know, do you think you're going to stay in Delaware? And so she was like, well, no, all my like opportunities are in New York and LA. And it's just like, Kale, like, have you seen the type of people that get big on TV in New York and LA? I'm not going to take this any further. That was just the one thing on my mind. I was like, honey, not being in New York and not being in LA is not the thing that's gonna hold you back from like being on E! News or like, you know what I mean? Like Good Morning with like Kelly and Michael. Like, that's not the thing that's gonna hold you back. Next up for our reunion, the poor woman's Lance Bass calls in to Skype, and Dr. Drew asks him if his relationship with Leah affects his relationship with Brooke and Addie, and he threatens to hang up. And so Leah actually calls him out for prioritizing his relationship with Brooke over his relationship with Addie, and she spills the tea that Brooke seems to be like a jealous person who discourages him from seeing his own daughter, which is very sad to think, especially considering the fact that Brooke has her very own daughter, and I'm pretty sure she would not be happy with the father of her child not seeing the child, you know, especially on account of a girlfriend that he has. That's just not a good look, girl. And that scene's just over really, really quickly before Corey then Skypes in with us, and Dr. Drew starts off on a really positive note with him by being like, first of all, Corey, I really want to commend you for how far you've come in your acceptance of what's going on with your daughter, Allie. Like, you've come leaps and bounds from where you were when you didn't even want her to use a wheelchair or anything like that. And he also tells Corey that he's proud of him for recognizing how Gracie has been struggling with being the twin sister of someone like Allie, who requires so much more extra attention, and she just doesn't know what's going on. She feels like whatever's going on with Allie health-wise is a result of her or her own fault. Like, he really laid it on thick with Corey, and it was nice to see that. And while we are here, you guys, on the topic of their custody situation, when do you think Leah is going to try for 50-50 again now that she's off the drugs? In the final sit down part of this episode, Maci comes out for whatever reason. I thought it was so pointless to have her up there, because I feel like although Maci and Chelsea are dealing with, like, you know, their baby daddies being like these druggies and like these deadbeats, I just feel like, okay, she's for Teen Mom OG, Chelsea's for Teen Mom 2. I didn't ask for a Teen Mom crossover or anything like that. It just was so random and unnecessary in my opinion, especially because the majority of Teen Mom viewers do not go on social media and do not know that Maci was in the studio for this New Year's reunion special. So it just seems so random. Like, if you want to have a guest if you want to have a guest to talk to Chelsea about like addiction and like co-parenting with that, they should probably have like a specialist on it, you know, as opposed to freaking Maci from Teen Mom OG, as much as I, you know, like her or whatever. Anyway, Maci says that she doesn't have much of a relationship with Ryan's parents, Jen and Larry, anymore, you know, which is really sad because we know how close they once were. Jen and Larry used to babysit Maci's kids that she didn't have with Ryan. Remember, like, that's a pretty big blow to take. So Chelsea also talks about how witnessing Ryan pass out behind the wheel was really rattling for her, and it made her really grateful for the precautions that she took to make sure that Adam cannot drive with Aubree in the car. Did you guys notice that Chelsea had the exact same eye makeup as Briana, by the way? Like, that was pretty funny to me. Now, Chelsea says that being on reality TV, talking about this sort of thing can be really scary because she doesn't want to ruin her relationship with Adam's parents. And she also worries about what Aubree will think about all of this one day, you know, how she handled things, and the fact that they aired it out on television. And then Maci, remember, her son's older. I think he's like 10. Isn't that crazy to think that these kids are already like that old? She says that Bentley's a little bit older, and so she worries about like his friends, you know, watching the show and talking to him about it. And so she's like, I've been teaching him about bullying and how to handle it. So I think we'll be okay with that. Now, getting back to Maci's relationship with Jen and Larry, again, this is not for Teen Mom 2. This is for Teen Mom OG, which is coming up, but I digress. She says that the reason that their relationship pretty much fell apart is because they feel like she betrayed them by exposing Ryan's drug addiction. I mean, Maci spoke about it, but Ryan showed us. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, actually witnessing how bad it was a lot more like convincing than Maci talking about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've all been speculating about Ryan like being on a little something something for years now. And, you know, Maci mentioning it really kind of solidified that. But nothing tops the video of Ryan passing out behind the wheel on the way to his, you know, wedding to the Black Widow Mackenzie, right? Like, I just don't understand their logic there, you know what I mean? Because that would have come out regardless of whether or not Maci mentioned him having a drug problem. So now that all of the little interviews with the girls are finished for the day, everyone comes out. Janelle actually made it back, but there was no David, and then they bring out the kids and everything. And as per usual, Dr. Drew reminds us about birth control, which the majority of these women still have not grasped. Remember, 60% of these women got pregnant, you know, pretty much by accident this season. Remember, Briana, it took her 30 days with a stranger to get knocked up. Chelsea got knocked up in the midst of wedding planning. That's why she had that second wedding. And the third one was Kail, by, you know, a dude who could care less about her. So that's 3 out of 5 women here who got knocked up by accident. I'm thinking Janelle and David planned endlessly, you know, for trapping each other purposes. And then Leah, of course, did not get pregnant this season. So are they really in the position to coach us about birth control? I think the fuck not. You guys, what did you think about part 2 of the Teen Mom 2 reunion special? Make sure to leave all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and as usual, we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.